Fix that in post. I'm Andre, and you're listening to the RC After Hours podcast. It has been a while, and I figured that out when I discovered that my microphone battery had actually corroded and done a little damage to the overhead boom mic. Someone had left it on last time, I guess. I gotta put a bigger light on it, or put one of those ready to fly pull tabs. So yes, the podcast. It's been a while. I've been busy in a professional sense, doing a lot of creative work at work, my real-time job. So that's kind of sucked the living energy out of me. So it's been a while, and I'd hope to do a podcast. I hope to do flying earlier in November and even into October after the last show, as I mentioned. And it didn't happen. There have been actually times where the batteries have been charged, the planes have been in the car, and I've just gotten up and I know right away I just don't feel like the flying. And I don't know if that's the COVID pandemic lifestyle that we've been going through. I know here up north in Canada it's still a little bit more of a real thing. In the US, you guys seem to be doing a little better than us, so I don't know, or maybe it's just me and just gotten into a rut and a routine. I think that can happen. So this is episode 92. I will make it a big personal effort that it is not the last one of the year. I still want to do a year in review towards the end of the year, and I will be taking some vacation, so I'll have some energy and I will get flying. But episode 92, and I've titled it Sims and Skis, because hey, when the weather gets really bad and you can't get out flying, you're either building, you're either playing in the Sims, or you're crazy enough and you're going out and you're flying some winter aircraft. And so we've got snow. In the last couple of days it snowed. Whether it sticks around or not, I don't know, but it's time to start getting out the skis and airplanes on floats and all those other, winter ready aircraft. And then the simulator part of it, we'll be talking about, your various sims and some other technology and some other wow factor equipment like VR. So we'll see what happens. Is my video feed? Not video feed, it's just taking a hiccup. Whatever. Still rolling, still recording, and we'll keep going. I'm kind of wondering if my poor old computer is having some issues, but hopefully it is still recording and it's just a hiccup. But we'll see. Let me know on the comments if you're watching. Hey, Victor. Victor says, pilots, how you doing? So, yes, it's been a while, and I do want to jump into what I have been up to in the meantime and playing around, and talk about some of the changes we're going to see. And I guess looking at my show notes, and yes, I've taken show notes, and yes, I've actually gone through. Top of the list is the fact that earlier in the year, earlier in the fall, so within the last month, a little buffer, yeah, thanks. I saw that on this end. I don't know if it was computer related or whatever, but hopefully not. earlier in the year, and I'm going to see if I can pull up the web page, and I should have it there. Look at that. Things are working beautifully. Earlier, Horizon announced the acquisition of RealFlight. I always thought they owned it flat out, but I guess I was wrong. And that is, yeah, they now have come out, and it looks like they've gone to 9.5S, which is Steam. So that's how I have mine. Now, some people won't like it. Some people do like flying in the RC. What I really enjoy, and I'm going to throw it into the show notes, is the fact that the RC After Hours show actually has a very limited use Discord server channel, and it's kind of fun. It looks like my stream is actually having a problem, so but we'll keep pressing on. Because it's all about the podcast, the recording. Anyhow, back to flying, Sims, and stream, and Discord. The real fun part is actually not just the flying, but connecting. And I learned that last year or the year before when we were really bottled down in the early days of the pandemic. And just connecting with the guys, and whether it's a flight simulator or the RC simulator. And I actually went around and ordered that the Spectrum. There it is, the little WS 2000, which is just basically a little receiver with a USB port on it, and lets you hook into your flight simulator. What I like about 9.5S, and I think I'll be able to update my 9.5, is the fact that looks like a good mediocre Wi-Fi. Yeah, maybe it's my feed. Sorry, Andy. Maybe it's my channel, or not my channel, my internet, but we'll keep plugging away. It's recording. We can watch it in post and fix it in post. Anyhow, back to the Sims. Connecting with friends online and doing that is probably one of the better experiences I've had recently. When you can't get out to see your friends and fly with them and everything like that. We just got online, we goofed around, and some of us are a little bit more serious with their sim flying, and then others of us are, modifying the aircraft and doing ridiculous speeds and everything. But it's all about getting those giggles in and everything. So I kind of enjoy the RealFlight, because some of the aircraft are pretty realistic, and especially if you're a Horizon fan and you do fly something with Spectrum on it, it's pretty useful. And there are tons of ways, if you do like a USB mods and everything and plug that stick in, you don't need the wireless, but the wireless is kind of fun. My only gripe with this little wireless module, it's only got 6 channels, and so like my DX9, I can't program aircraft that have more than, if they have more than 6 channels on them, I can't use my 9 the way I would use in the real world. So, we're hoping maybe the next version will have a little bit more channels, because I can't see why they would limit it to 6, but I mean, it is basically a little S-Bus receiver, I suppose, and inside there with a USB dongle. So, RealFlight, it looks like later on this month, you'll be able to update your client or your license, and then you'll be able to jump in and get some of those new models. I'm excited about the little T28, because I haven't flown one of those in such a long time, so it'll be kind of fun just to get my hands on some of those updates. So I'm hopeful that works out. Let's open. I'm just goofing with the widget. Who knows? I haven't changed anything on the computer, but the computer it's been such a long time since I played in doing a stream. So you have that simulator, and then of course we have Microsoft, the Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is great and fun. And Jeremy passed me his flight controls, and I had a good time with that. Actually, I end up flying more with that with my Xbox controller, just because it's easier. The only thing that's not nice is the rudder isn't. There's no expo on the rudder, so it's like it's just full throws, so it gets a little weird. But let's see if I can find good old Microsoft here in the web. I have it somewhere. There's so many windows open on it for this podcast right now. There we go. Microsoft Flight Simulator has been a surprise, and you can fly with your buddies. The same thing with the simulator. And Pete from Horizon, we were in Idaho flying through some pretty impressive conditions with our Cubs and everything. And I just like the slow stuff. I just get in there full flaps and we goof around. Now, where is solo cam? I did something a little goofy and different, and this is the HP Reverb V2 VR goggles. These bad boys highlighted just how old and poor and beat up my PC is, unfortunately. And it's really too bad that it's not really great, a great experience. It's okay in the driving, but to explain what happens when your video card can't keep up. So you get into a good maneuver with the aircraft and you start moving around, and for me the sensation is like, I guess it's a really good sensation of vertigo, and all of a sudden in wings, yes, and I'll talk about wings here in a second, when you get a good sense of vertigo, you almost feel like you're going to fall on a chair, and I haven't even had that flying FPV, so it tells you how important the frame rate is. So it is highlighting just how bad the PC is, and this isn't a bad PC. It's a pretty good piece of kit, but it's starting to age. And video card prices, oh my goodness. Alex Zavada and I were talking about this, and Dave Mack gave me a lot of advice, and Alex plays with VR stuff as well, and they came on sale and I just picked them up. So I'm hoping over the long term that will improve, but it's probably a 2021 22 kind of procurement. So anyhow, VR is still really cool. I've been enjoying some racing, some car racing every once in a while. Don't game a lot, and I try not to too much time on the sim because there's just so much going on, and So back to the flying. I am noticing the stream is having some issues. I do apologize for that. I'm not sure 100% why. Obviously the bandwidth could be having some kind of impact, but we'll keep plugging away. Yes, so the next one was just mentioned, wings. And that came out. We've got to get Dave on the show. Let's see. I think I just dumped wings off my list here. Go figure. Good thing they have a really distinct name. Kitchen Sink Games. So, Wings Simulator. This is cool. I have to reinstall it. I was doing some updates on my machine and I bumped it off. It's fun. It's again, you can plug your remote into it and you can have all kinds of fun, and they keep updating it. Multiplayer, Discord channel, everything you're looking for in a flight simulator is kind of there. So it's really neat to see, and why not support something that is local? I think I don't know if VR works on this one. I'll have to play with it and find out. I'm just looking over the show notes as we go from different people. But give a shot to Wings. Give a shout out to these guys. I want to get Dave on the show. We talked earlier in the month, and I haven't been able to link anybody, or not link, just find the time to do it correctly. But check them out and have a look at this application, because it's not overly expensive. I don't think it puts too much demand on the machine, and they're continuously updating and adding aircraft. The most recent one is they put in Spawns' Bloody Baron or Bloody Wonder or whatever it was, and it just keeps getting good. You can fly at Edgewater and so on, and just have a ton of fun. So it's in the wings and the twin props, and it's all FPV based, and you can hit the gates, and just good fun. So check out Wings from Kitchen Sink. I will put all the links in the show notes, which is off the Google page if you so desire. If not, they'll be included in the end result broadcast. So moving on to the next simulator, and I'm going to close a few windows down because there's so many open. I have not tried DCS yet, and that's Digital Combat Simulator World. I have not tried this one yet. Again, David Mack and I have been chatting a lot, and he says the Spitfire plugin for this thing, and it's a purchase game. The Spitfire one is insane, apparently. Real lot of attention to details and realism. So, depends on what you want to do and what you want to fly, right? I think DCS, sorry, is more Warbird based, where Microsoft Flight Simulator is more civilian based, but it's, they have F-15s in there. They've got a couple other Hawk jets and stuff like that. So it all depends on what you're interested in. But, Spitfire and stuff like that looks pretty darn cool. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I really haven't played with it. And again, I think I've got... I haven't logged into the Discord channel on this computer in a bit, but the nice thing I learned is with the VR setup, apparently it's got a microphone built into it. So, hey, one more piece, your immersion. I will say one thing about, one gripe about the VR experience. When you're in there, oh boy, you're in there. And what I noticed was I was getting messages from the family and everything, dinner's ready kind of thing. And I'm like, I wish there was an app that took all my, phone communications and put it inside the VR world. So if someone does ping me, it just shows up in the little bottom thing. Just make the whole experience a little easier. Woo! That's quite the start to the show. So, as I said, episode 92 is titled Sims and Skis. So I think that covers off the sim world pretty quickly. And it's always a struggle when we're going into winter so fast, and it didn't feel like it was going to hit. I'm just adjusting stuff so I can monitor the stream here and monitor the chat. And I wasn't ready for it. We shoveled today, and I'm still not ready for that. So let's see, where is the chat? Web both chat. There we go. Hi guys, a few people listening and watching right now while I ramble on and try and make a podcast. So I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for winter. I have very few aircraft that are set up, but as I was going through and picking out things, so things like the Skipper, that's just like a natural winter flying aircraft ready to go. The mini UMX Timber. And that had me thinking, because last year was my first experience flying an aircraft with skis and then switching over to floats. And I came back, and my perspective is on floats, it flies great, it handles the snow really well, but they're a royal pain to store. In the sense that most of the time, if you want to, I like sticking my Cubs up vertically when I park them. And that means, and even like over here, the other high wing, the Durafly Timber or Tundra, man, the Tundra, it hangs up there, right? And with the floats on, I can't do the same. And I noticed after the last impact I had with the poor little Timber, I broke the floats because the impact point obviously is the floats ahead. So I'm kind of like, unless you can store the aircraft flat on the ground and everything, you're better off going with skis, because I just find a ski setup on an airplane more flexible. Now, what's the drawback to flying skis, you say? From my experience, if you're flying in like a park or something, or any kind of ruts or footprints into the snow, oh, you're doomed, because that poor aircraft will jump will dive in and hit all those ruts and everything, and you'll just get the aircraft stuck and everything and beached and go and have to get it. The other issue too that I've learned from previous experiences, like with the Pawnee, is if you're on skis and the aircraft kind of the AS3X arms when you're doing anything, I've had it where I've taken off and the airplane's kind of flying crooked because for whatever reason on that takeoff it armed uneven sitting on the ground, right, because of the snow. And I've had that experience where I've landed, reset the aircraft, took off again, and it was fine. So still, my preferences are skis, and those are Dubros, and I'm going to fly more ski flying this year. But the skis I think my winter go-to twin will definitely be the Avios Bush Mule. I haven't tried the EC1500. It does have skis, but I've got a feeling that because they're not sprung and everything and they don't pop up, they won't be as responsive. But I still need to try that because those ones just pop on and you leave the wheels in place. So someone was thinking when they designed it. So Coming. It's coming. The other element to winter flying that I'll mention, transmitter mitt. No one is making these right now. I do have a few of my own, and I like this. This is the Turnigy, the old big one, but I also have the boy shorts. But nobody is making new transmitter mitts, not that I know of. So if you know of anybody, drop that into the show comments for the other people, because I've had that question before about, you know, what is better, and let me know what you think about the whole skis versus floats versus like you know, a plane that's, you know, almost basically a water plane, which probably does really well off the snow. So leave a comment, leave your impressions, tell me what you fly in the winter, and let me know if you want me to go more in depth talking about winter flying. Other people are probably doing more winter flying than I am right now, but boy, I have no choice. I got to get back into it, and I need to fly because it's been a while, and I miss it, and I should be doing it. So all right, what else do I have on these show notes? I want to get into the whole bunch of aircraft that have been released since the last episode, and there are quite a few. It seems like we're slow. I think we're the effects of the pandemic and everything, and how stuff has been rolling out, has been impacting what we're seeing coming out. But we get these little waves of new aircrafts, and it goes in bursts and everything. So we'll see. And let me know if you guys are thinking you're getting anything under the tree. I've been naughty, so I don't think I'll get a plane under the tree this year. All right, enough of me joking around. Let's talk about some of the new aircraft that have come out from Horizon first, and let me switch over to full boom. This is the P-47, the Thunderbolt P-47 from Hangar 9, and this is not the first plug and play. I probably got the order wrong because I know they did the stick earlier. And this is kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting it. I want to see one in person too, to see what it looks like, but it looks like a decent aircraft for the price too. So 58.4 inch wingspan, so kind of weird, kind of different. And $500 US. I'm not sure what that is in you know, Canuck dollars right now. I have to go look at Great Hobbies. But it doesn't look half bad. I think it's more of a sport flyer from what I saw in the videos and everything, but spec-wise, let me have a look at the specs, and we'll discuss this bad boy. Let's see. So, fun scale. This is what they're calling a fun scale P-47 Thunderbolt plug and play Spectrum, 60 amp ESC, smart ESC. So everything is starting to go with that one. 600 kV brushless motor, 14 by 12 inch prop. It's wood electric prop. It's got a 4 Spectrum 39 gram digital servos, main gear retracts, 1 user manual. So you have to drop in your own 6-channel receiver, and it is a 4S to 6S 4,000 to 5,000 milliamp system. So not too bad. And you have to down prop if you go 6S, which makes sense. 12 by 8 prop versus the 14 by 12 on the 4S. So it'd be interesting to see how this aircraft goes. It probably is really fun on. It probably is a lot of fun on 4S, probably very scale. But I bet on 6S it just rocks around. So all right, the next one, and as I mentioned, from Hangar 9 was the stick. Yeah, and this was kind of their shot across, you know, producing some plug-and-play balsa aircraft, which is kind of neat. You get something out of the box. Again, $550 US. I'd probably go with the P-47 personally. So it looks pretty neat. But I've flown something similar to a stick from some of the ones there from Buddy RC and OMP. So probably a nice little 6S bird. What do we got? It has, let's see, it's got a BL 50 BL motor brushless, 13 by 8 electric prop, that's APC, 60 amp ESC, and will fly off a 6S 3200 to 5000 battery. And obviously you have to add your own 6-channel receiver, because it probably has it does have 6 servos, 6 20-gram Metal Gears servos, so that means it does have flaps. That's pretty nice. I bet again you could prop that thing differently and fly it off 4S if you so desire. Sticks are kind of cool. I mean, they're pretty basic aircraft. There's nothing to, it's a practical aircraft. What you can say? You can do almost anything with it. You can definitely train. You can fly it in the winter, put it on floats, put it on skis, and it kind of, poor Ollie making that airplane look huge. Thank you, Pete. That's all we needed, a Horizon guy popping on the show. Pete, I need you to come back on the podcast too so we can talk about everything you've been doing. All right, what was I looking for? Oh yeah, here's Allie. That's awesome. That's a great comment. There we go. Hit a button, get it right. Perfect. So, nice looking aircraft, kind of interesting, and I want to actually see, and let me know, again, comments. I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for interaction from everybody. Are you guys interested in the plug-and-play aircraft? Are you balsa? Because I have to admit, I'm not a builder. I will play in foam board and hot glue and everything, but I don't think I'm much of a glue balsa wood kind of guy. I'm an assembler. I can assemble an airplane really nicely and really efficiently, but so this is, and I mentioned it last show when I reviewed those OMP airplanes. If you were looking for balsa aircraft experience at a good price, those are fantastic. So for people who don't want to be shipping and want to support their local shop, there's 2 new balsa aircraft for you to enjoy and plug and play and just go. And the nice thing about plug and play too is if you're not equipped with a Spectrum receiver and Spectrum remote setup, you can just go and you can buy. And if you don't want to modify that ESC to maintain your warranty, you put it on a little adapter and off you go, your EC5 or IC5 to XT30, XT90, whatever you want to do. So you don't have to snip the connector if you don't want to do any soldering, right? You just put that on. After the warranty's done, you do that. That's what I do anyhow. All right, moving on. Surprise, surprise, it's another Horizon aircraft. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Habu! So I guess it was time for a bigger Habu. And I like the yellow, and that Hangar 9 Ultra in yellow is another attractive aircraft. But here we go with the Habu. Again, a jet, another EDF without retracts. But, I guess it's got its place. If you're looking for an entry-level aircraft and it's not overly expensive and, it looks pretty cool and you can have a little bit of fun, why not? So spec-wise on this bad boy, it's got a 70 amp ESC. It's got the built-in 6 channels, so it's a bind-to-fly aircraft. So you need a 4S to 6S, 3200 to 4000, and obviously a transmitter that will bind with your Spectrum receiver. And it's got an IC3 or IC5 depending, an adapter, and so on and so on. And you obviously need a LiPo charger and so forth. Let's see if I can find the specs and tell you how. Horizon's website changed. The old site was more intuitive. Anyhow, it looks like a nice. I would almost say if you were looking for a lightweight aircraft, and Andy Chase says this one is on his shopping list. Are you talking about the Jet, Andy, or the Ultra? 4S, I would almost go and say this was a good entry level. And, like Jets, I like my retracts. I'll still say I like my retracts, but I like the Habu. It looks like a nice, fun aircraft. So, it's hard to say. Obviously, you can ditch the retract or the gear and just go non and get away with that. But then you got to throw it. And I've thrown enough jets poorly to not want to throw anything like that. So hard to say. Hard to say. All right, moving on to the next one. And again, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the post what you guys think about a 4S or 6S EDF jet that doesn't have retracts. And, you know, your entry-level jet, your trainer jet for $300. Okay, so the next one. The Avios Albatross. You know, I'm sighing because I want to fly this aircraft. I want to see how the Albatross does in the winter conditions. I have a feeling that I would absolutely love this airplane because it's got the performance. The Bushmill V2 actually uses all the prop and the power system off this thing, but this thing in the snow must be an absolute treat. Total treat. I mean, I probably would never fly it off water, but I would love to try it. There's a great shot if you watch the Hobby King video of Stuart going into the water to pick it up and retrieve it. So, you know, it would be a treat. It would be an absolute treat. I've considered it, but the shipping and everything, so it will wait. Plus, I have a ton of winter airplanes I'm going to be able to fly. RSFPV says, "Hello, Andre. How you doing? Welcome to the show. We're having some fun this evening." But and Andy's replying back saying the Habu, so he would either fly it on 6S. Ooh, Andy, you gonna jump in and get some 6S packs? That'd be cool. Or just stick with the 4. So. Back to the big, beautiful Albatross. Let's see what they say for specs. This is V2, so they've done some updates. They've changed it up. They've changed the color scheme and everything to try and lighten it up and everything. Gotta say, it looks cool. It would look even better if it was in like an RCAF. I'm biased, right? You know, if it had an RCAF look and everything and scheme, I think it would look absolutely stunning. And it is a 4S ship. You can actually, it says it will fly off a 3S 5000, which is interesting. I've never flown my Bushmule off 3S yet, but I should try it one day, I suppose. But I have the 4S's, and it's a hoot off 4S because you get all that power. Obviously, you want a 4S 4000 or 5000 according to the specs. I'm just moving this window around so I can read it. Yes, so designed for 3,000 to 4,000, but you can fly scale off 4S to 5,000 3S. There we go, more scale look. So it would punch around a little bit, but it still would be super cool. But you know, again, it would be neat. And why do I think this would be a really cool snow plane? Those pontoons, very much like the Flight Test Sea Duck, I guess, you know, but it would probably handle some of those conditions. I would be tempted to laminate that bottom or put some kind of plastic sheeting on the bottom because some of the cruncher ice situations could get a little dicey, right? So, dicey, icy. All right, moving on. This one popped up on the social media earlier this week. And was like, okay. So, from BananaHobby, it's the twin 64mm MiG-25. Yes, the FOXBAT. Finally. From what I can tell from reading their stuff, it looks like it's an FMS jet that they've commissioned. But wow, a FOXBAT. So, I've left all the links there for their social media so you can look at it. The thing looks beastly. It looks like a big monster ship, and I'm sure it will go like crazy. It's a 6S ship. I'm just moving some windows around so I can read the notes. But a twin 64, which isn't bad. The gray might be a little challenging. It might disappear, but who knows? It's hard to say. But it looks... something about the Russian jets, and particularly like the MiG-25, if you know the story about this thing, you know, the U.S. media at the time thought it was this amazing high-tech monster of an aircraft, when really it was a huge, steel, heavy, sluggish machine with limited capacity. Go like stink, for a couple seconds, couple of minutes, and then then it needed to be serviced. But the original power plant was designed to be removable and swapped in new ones real fast. I mean, so some levels of ingenuity and just grunt, but it wasn't the advanced fighter that the world thought it was going to be. But it looks cool as a model. Gotta admit, it looks kind of neat, and something about these Russian MiGs I always seem to gravitate towards. So who knows, down the road, if I see one in person, it might be kind of cool. All right. So yeah, nothing on the BananaHobby site yet. It's a Blitz, I believe, from reading, and it's Twin 64. So check out their site. I'm sure there'll be details coming up in time. Again, that was from BananaHobby. All right, next. From Motion, we have. Oop, don't want to zoom in. Why is it zooming? Oh god. 70mm sport jet. Again, it seems like a lot of these, Toss and Boss kind of go jet. These, $260 US, $259. Little white 4S jet, I think it was. Yeah, 4S 70mm. So not too bad. It does have gear. And or you can do an under toss. Actually, sorry, it does have retract, and it takes a 4S 5000. So as illustrated in the photo, so it's a little bit more advanced. Andy, you may want to look at this aircraft instead because it does have retracts and 4S, which is probably a little bit more economical. I kind of still like the idea of a decent 4S warm-up jet. In my case, I have the Yak. The Yak 130 from FMS version 1, and that's kind of my 6S warm-up jet. And the reason that came into fleet is because I had the 3300s, 6S 3300s, which I flew off to lighten up the Grand Tundra, right? And so having that, that's my warm-up jet. Now, mind you, I've had a stall, pretty vicious stall, but that was my own pilot error kind of thing. So I still think if you enjoy flying EDFs, there's nothing wrong with a good 4S jet, particularly if it handles well. So by all means, check this one out. And I haven't said that about a Motion RC aircraft in a while, have I? So it should be a pretty decent little beast. Again, it's got a 2550 kV brushless outrunner, 12 blades, so it should sound nice. Pre-installed electronic retracts with steel wires. I'm sure they sell an upgrade if you want to put a little bit more weight onto it. And 12 blades, 60 amp ESC, 9 gram metal servos, retracts, yada yada yada. Decal set. So have some fun. Put a 6-channel receiver into it and go for it. All right, next one. And again, from Freewing. We've talked about this airplane before. This is their Hawk. Not their Hawk. There we go. Yes, Goshawk. High performance 90. So they've lightened it. They've simplified it. From everything I listened to on the video from Motion, they basically got rid of the leading edge slats. As you can see, the hover over works on the photo, so it makes it useful. They got rid of that. That lightened up the wing load and everything. So the aircraft is light. I think everybody, if you like the Hawk style aircraft, there's nothing wrong with this color scheme as well. This is very visual. It's nice to track. It looks great. And again, what is this? It's out of stock, of course, because it's probably another load coming overseas. But $600 US. And you will want it's got 130 amp ESC with an 8 amp back, so it's pretty well established. I'm just trying to figure out what battery it has to fly off. 6S 5000 to 6000, so there you go. Pretty good specs, and again, looks fantastic. And let's see, what are some of the comments coming in right now? So TNRC Pilot, have you seen the X-Fly Twin Nova BananaHobbies or BitGo Hobby? Yes, I've seen some of those, and I'm keeping my eye on the X-Fly social media just to see what they're coming out with, because it looks kind of neat. So, woo. Andy Chase says, gonna fly off a grass field. I think the fixed gear might be a better setup. Potentially. Nice thing about the retracts is if you run into trouble, you can just belly land it, and not catch anything. So try it out, Andy. Who knows? And let me know what you pick up. So, I'm kind of curious. And Andy and I talk often. Okay, now, this week, look, from Horizon. Like I said, Horizon have been pushing out some neat stuff, and this is kind of a nice little stocking stuffer. Does $300 US classify as a stocking stuffer aircraft? It's a smaller aircraft, but it's an F-14 with sweep wings. So twin 40 millimeter EDF with sweep wings, but it doesn't have retracts. So, Andy, you have a decision to make. I'm picking on Andy because it's fun, because these are all well in a good price range too. They're all kind of sub. Some of the smaller EDFs, and we've seen this come along in the last little while too, as the efficiency picks up in the motors, and we're starting to get back into these small ones. So I watched the video, and my only thing I could think of, my only concern is, wow, that's small, it's gray, and it's darn fast. I would probably lose track of this thing like in a heartbeat, like gone. Where'd it go? Is in the line out of Top Gun, right? And then, of course, I'd have to be cocky and set up the Top Gun music on my radio. I can do that on my FR Sky. I don't know if I can do it on the Spectrum, but, it's cute. Guys, Horizon, give us something bigger. I want bigger. I want something with retracts. But still, it's neat. And I know talking to Alpha, the complexity when he was on the show talking about their F-14, the complexity in the gear and the wings and everything are just craziness. And he says, too small. I need to fly it out of sight too quickly. I'm going to fly that sucker out of flight too quickly. Yes, but still, an F-14 for $300. I may have to pull the trigger on this one just to see what it's like down the road. But for now, winter. What is the point? So it does have full flight controls, and I think that even the wings have flight controls in them, if I remember correctly from watching the video. And either way, even if it's all tail driven controls, who cares? It's still pretty darn neat. Let's see what the battery spec says. Here we go. It is so twin 40 millimeter EDFs, linear servos, 3-position actuator installed, and it's got twin brushless ESCs, and the pack, it takes a 4S 2200. So again, it's a neat little thing, and hell, slap some paint on it, you'll see it. But we'll see what it does. I'm kind of curious to see how it goes, and once it gets in the hands of other reviewers, and see what happens. And who knows, man? It looks cool. It really does. It really does look neat and fun. So I'm kind of curious, and I'm wondering if this is an area where we're going to see a little bit more of products in the near future. If we're going to see more EDFs being pushed out from various companies over the next little while, because if they can produce small aircraft in this range, and I'm probably the worst person to talk about this right now, but I've kind of come to the realization that I have way too many airplanes. It's like hi, I'm Andre and I have an addiction problem, right? And I've found it to the point that I can't fly them all, but I love them all, and I like the big airplanes. But there's a price delta on all that stuff, and I've decided, and I've sat back and I'm like, what is a good healthy budget on an aircraft if you're into this hobby and this is your primary hobby? And hobbies are super important. There's I could go on about the mental health benefits of having a hobby, and more particular the social end of it. Anyhow, probably gonna say 750. Now it's probably what, 500 US or something in that range, 650 US, something in that, in that zone. But I think if as a manufacturer you can put out consistent products in that range, particularly on the bigger end. I mean, obviously, we know you can go flying with like a T-28, and that's like 300 Canadian, so 200 something US. It was even more. It was even less on the last, Cyber Monday sale and Black Friday. They were on sale, and you can have a blast. That's a 4S aircraft, and just go on and on and on and on. So it's kind of, yeah, and we crash these things. They do get crashed, but at the same time, if you take care of them, they last forever. And my Facebook popped up was a memory, and like this time in 2015, I can't pull it down, but the Pawnee, the Brave Knight Pawnee. I mean, that aircraft is now 6 years old. I still love flying it. Now the problem with that aircraft is it only flies on my smaller 3S packs, and my last packs that I bought are too fat, so I'm limited how many packs I can throw at it and how hard I can drive those packs because they don't have the capacity I've noticed. So, whew, let me know. Again, I'm looking for interaction. This is the biggest thing I'm trying to drive and will drive forward into 2022 with this podcast, is that interaction. I want to see what everybody thinks and what they're talking about and what they want to know, and let me know. So, do you have a price range? Is there a certain point where the hobby is too expensive? We've seen, and we're going to continue to see, unfortunately. I think that's the hard part, is I think we're going to continue to see the hobby get more expensive. And that's just because of shipping, global conditions, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth, right? So, I don't want to be... It almost is unfortunate, and I saw some of the social media commentary, particularly on the F-14, where people were like, wow, that's $300? And Horizon was flat out, look, we tried to make the aircraft for less. We wanted to make the aircraft for less. We can't do it for less. Between the shipping and the manufacturing and all the conditions, so is this a reality? So are they going to say, yeah, we need to make sure we're boosting on the lower end so that it still is possible for people to go? I mean, it's not outrageous, but at the same time, I think we're lucky in the RC flying end of it, the RC foam planes, because they are fairly economical to go flying with. It is not crazy. Like, you look at some of the costs of the RC trucks and the crawlers and all that, you can do it for cheap, but generally they're costing a lot more money for whatever reason. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. And we'll go from there. So, summarizing this ranting, babbling on kind of podcast, get your skis on your airplanes if you live anywhere in the eastern northern hemisphere and you're gonna be flying into the winter. I'm not sure if the discount is still there, but I'm gonna go back to the web. Our friends at Dubro, they sent me these bad boys last year. Where are my show notes here? And I have all those details, and that will be in the podcast as well. Where are my Dubro notes? There they are. Video 20% off skis from Dubro. I'm not sure if that is still active, but I'll find out. And hopefully they are, because these Snowbird skis are the cat's meow. They're really well done. I use them on the two aircraft from OMP, which I'm going to fly again throughout the winter. I was supposed to do more flying with them, and it just never happened. But again, check them out and just have a look and see if those skis will work for what you want to do. If not, also let me know. Skis versus floats and stuff like that. I'm always curious. And of course, our good friends of the podcast, the Hangar RC guys. I haven't talked to any of the to Sam in a bit. He's been doing his stuff, and we'll have to get him on the show and talk about all that they're doing into 2022 and talk about some building. I want to. Where's my camera button again? Want to get on Joshua Archer. I've mentioned that before because he's my balsa builder go-to buddy. And we like discussing that. And I want to do a whole show probably discussing the different, are you a builder? Are you an assembler? And so forth. I'm going to pop into all the codes and comments and everything into it. And let's see, TNRC says, Pilot, 200 to 300 is about my limit. And yeah, I'm, like I said, kind of pulling back, and I'm kind of looking for that spark in the hobby again. So I know I'm bad. I'm like probably the last guy to say it because I have jets that I haven't flown. I was trying. Oh man, I was trying so hard to tick off and bang off as many of those jets into the fall, and it just didn't happen. And you know, I have videos I haven't edited yet for you guys to see some of the flights and everything. I flew the SE5A, and that was terrifying because it just I don't know, it wasn't ready. I didn't have the CG right. So there's lots for me still to do. There's lots for me still to cover. I'm trying to get back into a rhythm and do this podcast in a more frequent basis because, well, you know, it's easy to do when I get the camera out and everything kind of hooks up and goes, and I can rant on and talk about everything. So, like I said, keep your comments coming in. Keep the ideas coming in. You know, everybody knows how to find me. There's tons of social media ways to get a hold of me and everything, and we can just keep this dialogue going because I'm kind of curious to see where 2022 leads us, and as far as what the developments are. I will probably, towards the end of this month, start setting up the plane of 2021. I've got a feeling I know where all the votes are going to go, knowing you guys. It was probably big, red, and a high wing, if I'm just reading everybody's minds right now. I'm calling it. I've got a feeling everybody's going to say that was the plane of the year as far as, you know, innovation and coolness and everything. And, you know, I almost picked one up, I admit it, but I have no more space. I have so many high wing planes, and it's a problem with the big planes. They take up way too much space, and I feel like every time you take apart an airplane to store it, you do damage. And I discovered that with the A-10 because I take the wings off to store it, and I found one of the pins there and I had to fix that. So there's something handy about a small airplane. I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe we've got some good topics to go. So I think after rambling on for almost 50 odd minutes or so, I think this podcast is probably almost ready to wrap up. Again, thanks to all the Patreon followers and sponsors and assistants and everything. It's you guys keep the lights on for this podcast, funding the service that hosts the show and everything, and the URL, and feeding me some inspiration, some ideas. Again, it's rcafterhourspodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send me an email, check us out on Instagram. There's also on Twitter, and obviously I'm on Facebook, and you can email me or message me or anything. If you've got any ideas for show contents, things you'd like to see, I reached out to Stuart. Their last release, obviously, they've done the Twin King Air, then they had the V2 of the Albatross. He says there's stuff in the pipes, but nothing you can talk to. I think all the manufacturers, because we've seen the slowdown, we've seen the releases, they come and then there's big gaps, right? So I think they're all experiencing the same pain as the real world, and I've got a sneaky suspicion that, you know, the real items that are a little bit more relevant in the real world situation are being pushed forward versus the other stuff. Hey Pete, thanks man. I enjoyed watching it. Looking forward to more. Oh, thank you, TNRC. So Pete, let's link. And actually, the man had his birthday this week, so happy birthday, Pete. Yeah, gotcha. So I'm Andre. Again, thanks. Let me know when I can come on and back up on the chat. Yes, sir. You got it. All right. I'm Andre. I'm going to wrap this podcast up. I'm going to throw a little music, and we're going to wrap the show. And thank you very much for everybody who's come out and tuned in. If you want to hang out, we can do a little bit more discussion after the fact. But for now, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'm Andre. This is episode 92 of the RC Afterhours podcast. Can you believe that? 92. So have a good time. Thanks for listening. All right. Okay, stop the recording. The stream is still going, so I can sit here and rant. If anybody's got any questions, I'm here for a few more minutes while I finish the post up and everything, and I'll go and edit that show and make it all beautiful for audio for the podcast and post it out. Yes, it has been a little bit of time since actually literally 2 months. I'd hoped to do a podcast back in November and even October, and it just never materialized. And then I started getting busy with, like I mentioned earlier in the show, real life work. And I'd get down and look at my machine and go, I don't want to edit, I don't want to talk, I don't want to be on camera. So this is kind of refreshing to be able to just punch out an episode. Yeah, only 50 minutes long, but c'est la vie, right? So better than nothing. So we'll go from there. If there's any other questions, let me know. And otherwise, we'll wrap up the stream and everybody can get on with their busy weekends. Oh, yes. Pete says maybe we can get TJ on. Yes, if anybody doesn't know, TJ now runs the social media for Horizon, which is pretty cool. TJ goes back to, I know TJ from the flight test days, so he's progressed along with his career. He's the one that linked me in with, did the link with Buddy RC and OMP, so that was really awesome. I'm going to fly those airplanes again really soon. Looks like I'm going to carry on flying them in winter configuration versus summer configuration, but that's just how this year's gone. Review aircraft that I have left to do. I still have to fly that little Zod that Great Hobbies passed me. I was goofing around with that, and I was trying to make the DJI remote work with that little flight controller it has, and it wouldn't gel. Something I tried to do the settings and the expo and the remote, and it wouldn't save. And I think it's because it's a flight. It's the remotes and the control, the camera control and everything are looking for a flight controller. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'll just put in a module from my TBS stuff and do that and get that aircraft going, because that'll be a pretty decent aircraft to fly around in the winter. It'll have digital, the little DJI clone gear, smaller stuff. I'm at a loss for words right now. But okay, it doesn't look like there's going to be any more questions, so I'm going to turn off this stream. I'm going to end this show, and thanks everybody for watching and hanging out. Talk to you later.